So in the last couple years, the Idaho legislature has really taken an interest in bear issues, and depredation in particular. And with grizzly bear funding, the feds provide very little funding for grizzly bear depredation. As far as the history behind all of this, the Endangered Species Act has been around since the Nixon administration. And the idea was to protect animals like eagles and to try to recover species that are dwindling. And we take a lot of pride in our landscape and in our animals here in the United States. But the problem is there are animals such as the grizzly bear that have reached their recovery numbers and have been identified as such, but just stay on there. The grizzly bear has been delisted twice, once in 2007 and once in 2017. And it was courts who put it back on the list after the agency said that it could be delisted. It requires an act of Congress. It requires a law change to make the Endangered Species Act effective.
Our numbers usually, we are at 1% death loss on the 750 pair that we run here and up on the forest. The last few years, it's been 4 to 5%. One year was worse than others, and we know why. There was a bear that they had trapped that we actually caught in the act. They trapped him, hauled him off. He was back within 3 days, and he stayed right on our forest permit. And he killed over 50 calves that year. So, I mean, yes, it's gotten worse. It has. I don't think we need to get rid of the bears, but we need to be able to manage them.
The Endangered Species Act is basically a get out of jail free card for the grizzly bear today. You know, they do what they want, when they want, how they want, and even though we've well over doubled or tripled the numbers that they've set for us in the state of Idaho, in this greater Yellowstone area, they just keep moving the goalposts and not letting us manage these bears like they tell us they will. Right now, we're in the state of Idaho, we're busy trying to prove that we can handle these things so that we can have primacy over them, so we can manage them correctly.
In the law enforcement world, we have what's referred to as the Castle Doctrine in Idaho. It's a stand your ground law. You have the ability to use force against an individual if they've entered your property, your home, your vehicle, your place of business, committing a felony or with the intent to do harm. You can use force against that person and you're protected under the law. If it's a grizzly bear, you are not protected. You can defend your life or somebody else's, but you cannot protect your property, your livestock, your pets. You don't have that right. On your private property, if you have predation and an animal, a grizzly bear for instance, that's protected under the Endangered Species Act, comes on your property, you are very limited in what you can do to protect your livestock. You can honk your horn, you can flash your lights, you can scream and holler. You cannot use force against that bear. He's protected.
We're not opposed to the grizzly bear. Going back to 1975 when the bears were listed, the past 50 years of managing the grizzly bears, we've learned a lot. We know how to coexist with the grizzly bear, and we're not asking that they disappear. We just want the ability to manage the bear, not destroy the bear.
There's good bears and there's bad bears, and when you get in those bears that aren't afraid of people, they're habituated around the fact that they're the top of the food chain and they'll come at you. Last year I was charged by a bear and he stopped about 30 feet. Bluff charged me all the way in and I got lucky on that one. I mean, I could have been one of the statistics where you get bit. You guys got to be a lot more careful in this area now than you ever were before because of the amount of the density of bears that are in here. I think there's more bears on this side than there are in Yellowstone. There's a lot of bears in here.
What's important about ranching is it's a responsibility. It's not only a lifestyle. We have a responsibility as being part of nature.
Because we live out here, when we are gathering the forest or even gathering out here in the sagebrush, if you smell death, you ride wide. You stay away. But the scariest part is, it depends on the bear. Some bears like them stinky and smelly and gooey. Some bears like them fresh. And that's the scariest part, is if you ride in on a fresh kill, that's when you really have to be careful, and when it worries me about my boys, and even my husband.
The primary goal would be to get them delisted from the Endangered Species Act and bring them back to our state control. Idaho Fish and Game would be the primary department and taking care of them on more of a local basis, state by state basis, and of course region by region,
and with that proper leadership, you know, and each area is different. And even in our state of Idaho, I'm one of only 2 commissioners out of 7 that deal with grizzly bears. You know, the other 5 commissioners, they don't have them in their regions and they don't have to worry about it. But, you know, so obviously my region is a lot more concerned about grizzly bears than the Boise region might be.
You're basically comparing predation of wolves and predation of grizzly bears. Wolves have a range that they run and a pattern that they run, in my experience, and they'll hit a producer and they may not be back at all. They may be much more random. A grizzly bear goes to work on a producer. Typically they will stay on that kill or within that area until that's consumed or they've consumed another animal, and they are very habitual. Once they get started, they're very hard to stop.
Originally, the Endangered Species Act was a pretty good act. It brought the eagles back, but you got to realize that they have specific management schemes for a single species, and that disregards the management of the whole ecosystem. You might have the grizzly, you might have the lynx, you might have the wolverine. We used to work with the Forest Service and the BLM hand in hand, managing this resource, doing wonderful things for the resource, not for us, for the resource. And the Endangered Species Act stopped all that because it tied the hands of good managers, the people that knew how to manage the resource, understood nature. So what did we find out? Roads were closed, no logging whatsoever. And so it changed all the management on the resource. And Idaho is losing water. If they want to get more water, what you do is manage the trees. If you look out here on these trees, you should see mosaics of aspen and everything else. All you see is black. And that's a monoculture of trees. And until we manage those trees for watershed yield, it's going to be really, really tough. But we can really do a great job if they'd allow us to use prescribed fire and logging where it's feasible. But it changed how we managed the resource. It took all our tools away from us.
The endangered species is a great tool, but it has to be used and managed in the proper way. And that's what we're asking to do. I think most people just think that we're out to kill a species and annihilate them and take them back to where they were, and we're not that at all. We just want the species managed.
Eradicating bears and eradicating wolves isn't our goal. That's not even close to true. We manage the elk, the deer, hundreds of fish, birds, you name it. The Fish and Game manage all those things and do well with it. It's just managing them. We just need control so we can. Otherwise everything else gets out of balance, including our other wildlife. They all become affected by the mismanagement of these creatures. So we need balance. I mean, there's a lot of great people in the Fish and Game that want to do the right thing and want these managed as well. So I'm super pleased with the department as a general. Hardly any complaints on how they're allowed to manage the bears. They've done the best they can with a bad situation and are continuing to. And I feel like they're definitely on the same team as trying to get management of these things so they can control them also. It's not very fun to have a job that you can't do. So.
We could change this if we had local control influence over these bears. We need them to be delisted. The Idaho Fish and Game, the state of Idaho, is well established that they have the ability to manage these large predators and the ability to make the right decisions. Not every grizzly bear is a livestock killer. Not every grizzly bear is a troublemaker. We've established that we can live with these large predators successfully. We've given up a lot of our freedoms, a lot of our access to property, whether that be sportsmen or any of the shareholders have given up a lot of access to our public lands due to this grizzly bear. The local economies have suffered. We've given up a lot of industry. We've lost a lot of ranchers. We've lost loggers. We've lost a lot of things that these local communities have given up to this grizzly bear with no relief. We just keep giving and there's no relief in sight.
We just need to ask that we do the right thing. And if we don't, the bears are going to continue in numbers and the conflict's going to increase.